there'll be no part 7th Ave. Thanks, Joe. I'm Jared Blumenfeld, Director of the San Francisco Department of the Environment. Welcome to this rooftop. We even have some solar behind us, and 1 minute from now we'll have some sun. The reason we're here is to talk about, one of the legacies of San Francisco in terms of energy efficiency and the environment generally has been how can we come up with practical solutions. To some they may seem like pie in the sky, but what we've done is come up with solutions that are both fiscally empowering, so people save money through mandatory recycling and composting. They save money through energy efficiency, but they often don't have the money up front to do those measures. So the team behind me, really led by the mayor, said, how can we get money, especially in these difficult times, into people's hands in a way that makes sense for them? And it was a long odyssey, and we have Cisco DeFries and others from Berkeley that help with some of the seminal thinking on moving this forward. But we think we've come up with an even more complete package, which the mayor is now going to articulate. Thank you.
Was that me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I was paying attention.
Right.
Thank you, Jared, and thank you all for taking the time to be here, and thank you to Assessor Phil Ting for his leadership, particularly in the work that he's done around solar and leading the charge with the Solar Task Force in San Francisco. That's paid great dividends. I don't know that many people have followed up on what the solar incentives have done in the city, but they've more than doubled the number of solar installations in just a 12 or so month calendar year in San Francisco. We now lead the state of California, and this is remarkable considering that it is the city and county of San Francisco, but we lead the state of California in terms of the per capita generation of solar energy, now exceeding San Diego, exceeding Los Angeles, certainly exceeding our North Bay competitors of sorts, Oakland or Alameda County, and obviously down in San Jose. We have proven that given the opportunity, given the right incentives, given the information, that the people of San Francisco are going to step up and they're going to want to lead the way. Now we are initiating something that, from my perspective, is exponentially more significant. In fact, I think this may be one of the most significant environmental initiatives ever launched in the city and county of San Francisco. I think more will be written about this over the course of the next year, 2, 3, and 5 years than probably any other initiative this city has advanced. The reason why is this initiative addresses the one principal problem that people face when it comes to being green, and that is financing. That's the upfront costs. Everyone acknowledges, or at least most people I think will acknowledge, that it pays great dividends to go green. The problem is you have to pay a little bit up front in order to get that ongoing annual savings. What the program we are launching today, or formally introducing tomorrow at the Board of Supervisors with the co-sponsorship of Supervisor Eric Marr and of course Assessor Ting, is the financing solution, is the package of reform that needs to take shape first for all of our other initiatives, I think, to scale at the level that we're hoping to scale them. What this does is it takes the idea that was advanced in Berkeley, has been proffered and advanced in Sonoma, that's been discussed candidly all around the state and increasingly across the country, and gets it to a whole nother level. It takes the idea, which was a good idea, and scales it to a degree that I think only San Francisco can scale it. It allows people to attach as a financing option the cost, the upfront costs of installing efficiency initiatives, or putting solar or wind, or creating a framework to reduce not just energy consumption from light bulbs, but reduce energy consumption from boilers, or reduce water consumption through water efficiency programs. It puts all of those costs into a prospect of financing that is attached to your property tax. Why would the assessor recorder be here? Because it attaches to a property tax over a 20-year period. So let me just put it in layman's terms. You want to put solar on your roof? You don't necessarily need to get that incentive that you got from the city and county of San Francisco, where we just wrote you a check and then you had to go out of pocket for the rest. You can simply, as a building owner, commercial or resident, you can attach it to your property tax bill over 20 years. The interest you pay is deductible, just like the interest you pay on your mortgage. It goes with the life of the property. So if you sell the property, you're not responsible per se for paying that loan back. Again, it's the property owner and the subsequent property owners that will pay that loan back. 20-year financing plan by creating a citywide Melrose district where property owners opt in, not opt out, but opt in to this financing strategy. This will allow people to pay for all their energy upgrades, to put solar in, to put wind generation in, to do low flush toilets, to put all kinds of insulation and weatherization into their housing. It simply allows for people to have, I think, no more excuses in terms of making sure that they're operating in a more green and efficient manner. So this is a program that I'm absolutely convinced will resonate across this country. I'm absolutely convinced that we're setting the bar that will be, I think, subsequently set by other municipalities. There is an initial contribution of $10 million for this program, but to the extent that there is a greater need, we'll meet that need. So there'll be even more dollars available for people that want to finance these energy upgrades and energy efficiency program. It's called SF Squared, and it's basically a sustainable financing strategy. There simply now is no excuse not to do energy upgrades, not to put energy efficiency and renewables in your place of work or at your home. The cost, again, does not exist. It's no longer a factor. And the payback is guaranteed over the course of days, months, years, as it relates to the investment that you're making. So again, I don't want to oversell this thing, but it sure as heck doesn't need to be undersold. I think, again, this is the most significant environmental initiative ever launched by this city, and we've got a pretty high bar. And so I just want to thank the PUC for all their work and their stewardship of this program. Again, thank Assessor Ting, thank Supervisor Marr for carrying this legislation at the Board of Supervisors, and Jared Bloomfeld. This took a long time, and I'll close with this, for one reason, that it's unlike the programs in these other cities. This is done by the private sector. The city is the lender, but using private sector, what is it, Renewable Energy LLC, that's doing the financing. And that means that there's really no risk to the taxpayers. That's why it took an extra 6 months. We wanted to get this out last year, candidly, but we're unable to do it. But now we're here, and the whole question is whether or not we're going to be able to promote this adequately, because there's no doubt in my mind that once people learn about this, they're going to quickly avail themselves to it. So thank you for taking the time to be here.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And just on the energy efficiency side, we spent a lot of time, we're at Lombardi's recently talking about the huge savings that you can get just on an aggregate sense for the city over the last 8 years. We're saving small businesses. They save every year $24 million. And that program, Energy Watch, pays between 60 and 90% of the measure. So this can pay for the rest of it. As with low-income folks with Go Solar, you don't have all the money from the city. Now you can get the rest of that money through these kind of programs. So it helps bridge the divide between programs that exist. We're going to hear from Matt Golden tomorrow. The federal government's going to announce Cash for Corkers, which is another program which will give you up to $12,000. That's often not enough to get the project done. So the matching funding can come from this. As the mayor said, it's unusual for the assessor. He's super busy doing other stuff, but he's really spent a lot of time listening to the public when it comes to solar, and the thing that he heard was that money is the biggest issue, and so he really stepped up to the plate in helping create the Go Solar program, and now he's going to tell us a few words about why he got involved in this program.
Well, thank you, Jared. Sorry, I think I lost my voice talking so much about solar. But again, thank you, Jared, and the Department of Environment for your incredible leadership. At Harrington and the whole team at the PUC, and of course, Mayor Newsom for his incredible vision on this. When we were designing Go Solar SF 3 years ago, which is, we should just call it Cash for Solar. We'll just do that. But when we decided what would be the perfect complement, we reached out and we worked with the mayor's office to see a perfect complement for an incentive program would be a loan program. Because while the city incentivizing people gets their interest, It doesn't get them the whole way there. This loan program gets a customer the entire way there so that there's almost zero out-of-pocket costs. So there's basically, in car terms, there's no money down. And so by creating a no money down situation, you create a no-brainer situation for consumers. And that's simply what consumers were wanting to do. They wanted a situation where they didn't have to pay out of pocket to do the right thing. So now, if you want to insulate your home, if you want to put wind turbines on your home, if you want to put solar panels on your home, if you want that solar thermal water heater, this is a way to do it. And by using SF squared, you get this, instead of having to put money up front, you get this on your property tax bill. And also, if you decide to sell your property, it stays with your property taxes. So you don't have to worry about moving the loan or how to pay somebody off or something. This stays with your property for 20 years. And what's great for the financial institutions is this is pretty much no risk. Because if it's on the property taxes, it means that it's guaranteed to be paid back. Which, unlike, as we saw with all the loans in the mortgage crisis, that would not happen in this situation. Because it's tied to the property taxes, the city can lien, and basically the lender would absolutely be guaranteed that money. What's so important is that this program, SF Squared, isn't just limited to solar or energy, but that it brings in the entire world of energy efficiency into the picture. And by making your home energy efficient, you may actually be able to save even more money than you could by putting wind on your building, by putting solar on your building. So it's really the ideal situation to be complementing an incentive program with a loan program and all the other initiatives that are happening both at the federal level and the state level. But again, it's really San Francisco, yet again, leading the way to try and push the envelope on being green. So it's an honor for me to be here. Just thank you for the entire team for all their incredible hard work. It's been 3 years in the making, but we're almost there. Thank you.
Thanks, Phil. The next person comes with a lot of bona fides when it comes to money. Ed Harrington was our controller before he ran the PUC, and really at the heart of all this is money. If you get the money flowing to the people that need it, who want to do the right thing on their business or their home, you can make a world of difference. And he has in his agency. And we've talked a lot about energy, we talked about efficiency, but there's also savings that you can make when it comes to water. And we all know we pay our water bills frequently. Ed. I can't remember how frequently is why
Bi-monthly, Jared.
Bi-monthly. Does that mean every 2 months?
Every 2 months.
A month? Okay.
Thank you, Jared, for your leadership, and Mayor, for your leadership on this. I'm happy to be here from the SFPUC. We're the ones who actually administered and funded the Go Solar program for the last year and a half. We've committed and spent most of $9 million on that program. One of the wonderful parts of that is $1.4 million of that has gone to low-income residents of San Francisco, which is a great way of getting money out to people who can't otherwise get that money. As that program is morphing into more of a low-income program, this one's kicking up and kicking in gear that really is going to focus on people that can afford it to be able to make loans and use their property tax process to pay back those loans. As the mayor said, there's a few things that are different about this program from other places in California. Most of California is focusing on solar, on some energy efficiency aspects. This has all that and then some, because this also allows you to use this money for water efficiency programs, gray water reuse, stormwater harvesting programs, and all the different kinds of things that you might want to do in terms of wastewater and water as opposed to just energy efficiency. So those are a great part of this program. I wanted to point out and thank Mike Martin from my staff, who, after 3 years of all this discussion that Phil was talking about, he's one of the ones that spearheaded making it finally become a reality. And so I want to thank Mike and thank you all for being here today.
So this has brought lots of people out of their normal comfort zone in terms of the work that they do. Nadia Sese is the Mayor's Office of Public Finance. She does floating of bonds and other stuff. She really jumped in to the deep end of this, and this took a lot of nuts and bolts work, very detailed work of understanding. Actually, about 6 pieces of legislation have gone in front of the Board of Supervisors, a whole suite of legislation to make this happen. And I really want to thank Nadia sincerely and let her say a few words about her involvement and what she's been up to. Thank you, Nadia.
Thank you, Jared. Thank you, Mayor. We're really excited about the Sustainable Financing Program. We have worked very hard to design a program that would allow San Francisco residents to finance clean energy, renewable energy, energy efficiency, and water conservation on a long-term basis and at competitive rates. While there are many attractive features to the program, there are few that are notable. First, there is no risk to the city's general fund. The cost of improvements will be repaid by special taxes by taxpayers opting into the special tax district. Second, the program is voluntary. Only those seeking the benefits of clean energy, renewable energy, energy efficiency, and water conservation are obligated to pay the special tax. And finally, the program allows for a financing alternative that allows San Francisco residents who have been shut out of the private capital markets to be able to access the program. I'd also like to take the opportunity to thank some of our external partners here today. We have Renewable Funding here. We have Stone & Youngberg, who are underwriter on this transaction. Baxter McCauley, who's not here today, a special bond counsel, Jones Hall, and also as special tax consultants, and our financial advisors from North Cross and Hill. With that, thank you very much.
All right.
Now,
You rarely get to talk at press conferences. It's so exciting.
it is,
Really
and you did well.
You gotta
Big round of applause.
Yeah,
Come on.
Thank you.
That means you know there's real money there.
Yeah, no.
Right, when Nadia comes up.
Fun people are.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Next up, we have Matt Golden from Efficiency First. Matt has been at the forefront of looking at home efficiency and how you do home efficiency testing and create a business out of it. He's also been very involved with us looking at how to get some of the stimulus money from the Department of Energy and really make that work in the city and county. Matt?
Thank you. And I just wanted to say that the city is once again on the forefront. I know that's been a reoccurring theme. But in my capacity, I really wear two hats. We are actually the West Coast's largest retrofitting contractor located right here in San Francisco, and that's Recurve. And I'm also chairperson of Efficiency First, which is a national trade association of contractors that do retrofitting work really in every state in the country at this point. And in that capacity, we're doing a lot of work in Washington, D.C. And one of the key components that has been highlighted when you look at the Vice President's recent report called Recovery Through Retrofit, highlighting some of the key best practices in terms of how we can roll out retrofitting and create green jobs in America, one of the key provisions was PACE financing, property assessed clean energy districts, and we're doing that right here in California. And what's really exciting is that we can really, in this environment, interchange cost-effective carbon abatement and saving money for homeowners with good quality job creation, and those are really interchangeable thoughts. So in California, the construction industry is at somewhere in the neighborhood of 25% unemployment right now, and it's roughly at nationwide, 1 in 5 American construction workers is unemployed. So that's about 1.1 million experienced construction workers in the residential sector. And with this sort of program, coupled with some of the jobs programs that the Obama administration is working on, the one that's beginning headlines is called Homestar, and also known as Cash for Caulkers, which are going to provide additional incentives. And when we marry the incentives that we're going to be coming out of the federal government for job creation with these innovative financing programs and the leadership here in the city of San Francisco, I think we have a really unique opportunity to lead the entire country and set an example and show how this combination of great policy and opportunity can create a market that can re-employ our construction workforce, create good quality green jobs, and over the long haul really have an impact on our climate problem. Thank you very much, and thanks again for the city for its leadership.
Thank you, Matt. Last up, we have Janine Cotter from Luminalt. She actually was responsible for this panel, and we have Alan Clyburn and Stephen Raj. And Alan was here the last time we did stuff, so congratulations for sticking with it. Janine? Good. Yeah. Have you been guarding it the whole time? Right here.
Yeah, these are my colleagues, Alan Clyburn and Stephen Raj. Both of them install solar, and both came to us through Go Solar SF. Another example of how San Francisco has been incredibly innovative and on the forefront of energy efficiency and solar and creating jobs for San Franciscans, particularly jobs for San Franciscans for people who have traditionally been underrepresented in construction jobs and jobs in general. This new program is a game changer. This is one of the most innovative programs around, and it's because it opens up the field to energy efficiency, to water conservation, basically the issues that are most pressing for all of us in terms of figuring out how we're going to be a more sustainable society. And the issues are traditionally been barriered by the fact that people don't have the upfront cash to be able to pay for it. Now you pay out for it basically at the same time that you're getting the savings. So like people have said before me, it's a no-brainer. And the other great thing about this is going to get more and more San Franciscans working. And I'm really pleased that this is another initiative that shows that when you're using limited resources by a state and the federal government, when you use those resources to ensure that people are getting jobs and people are working, and they're jobs that are good paying jobs, they're jobs that cannot be outsourced because you can't outsource a building. It's here, it's in San Francisco. These are exciting times. So thank you very much. Thanks for your leadership. This is important. This is good stuff, and it gets us all working. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Great. Just to be clear, so the reason that the announcement is today is tomorrow to the Board of Supervisors is the last piece of legislation in this suite of legislation that comes together. The program is likely to start in the middle to end of February of next year. The key final hearing is on the 10th of January. So that's kind of the timeline, but we want to get people jazzed and understanding what the options will be so that when the program hits the ground, people are ready to immediately apply and get the money flowing into the economy. So that's the time frame, February or early March, and we're all very excited. Are there specific questions that you have for any of the speakers? John?
Demand or uptake are you anticipating for the program, and is there anything for the renters?
So the question was, what's the uptake in terms of dollars? And
We're going to start with 10 million, but we'll meet demand. So if it's 11 million, we'll be there. 12, 15, 20. I don't know if it's over 100, we'll be able to do it. But we're gonna. I don't want to say it's limitless, but there's really in the initiation, there's no real limit in terms of the finance. 100. All right. So 150 million is approved, but we're starting with increments of 10. So you could argue $150 million. That's a bigger, I like that number. Let's just use that number. I'll button my suit. $150 million, thank you for asking. Which is conceivable, but we'll start with 10. And, the argument, I like this. Here we are in San Francisco. And by the way, it's good to see you again.
Thank you,
Alan. Jared, by the way, was a little nervous coming up here because the last time we were here, Van Jones was here with Alan. And Glenn Beck kept showing this press conference over and over with Van and Alan in the background. And, of course, Van was just about to be announced going to work for the Obama administration. Well, Jared is now about to be announced going to work for the Obama administration. So he's concerned about his same fate, that maybe we'll be watching you on the O'Reilly Factor or something 6 months again. That's only if you do your job. We'll see you on there. I say lovingly to Bill. That said, here's the backdrop of Copenhagen where everyone's talking. They're all dreaming. Here we are in San Francisco, and we're doing. And we're following through on our commitments. When we made that announcement a year plus ago on the solar, we followed through. $8.8 million spent, doubling the total number of installations of solar, hiring real people through our workforce development programs. This was all substance. None of this lacked follow-through and lacked intensity. This effort is, again, much more substantive. So again, as they're dreaming in Copenhagen, we're doing here in San Francisco. This is exponentially more significant than the solar launch a year and a half or so ago in July of 2008. This includes everything from energy efficiency to water conservation, energy generation. There's nothing like this in the United States of America. And to your point, renters or landlords, look, it's the property owner that ultimately will bear the cost. Now, to the extent that that could be passed through on commercial buildings, it can be. or industrial buildings. It certainly can be through pass-through for provisions for tenants. But the reality is every single building you see, the built environment in San Francisco, has an owner attached to it who should attach themselves to this financing. Not $1 out of their pocket, all the interest deductible, $150 million scope of work, creates thousands and thousands and thousands of green-collar jobs, all of those jobs within the confines of the built environment within the city and county of San Francisco. This is really exciting. And as I said, I don't mean to take away anything Jared's done and the Department of Environment and what we've done as a city. But to me, this puts everything else in perspective, because everything else now is made possible. All those other initiatives are now made possible because the one barrier that remained was the cost barrier. Now the cost barrier has been removed. It simply doesn't cost you any money out of pocket. Amortized over a 20-year loan on your building. Most folks will be saving money immediately because the energy savings that will accrue in that first PG&E bill and that first water bill. And so this program is really potentially revolutionary if it can be scaled and if people can find themselves or avail themselves to this opportunity.
I just wanted to address one thing about John's question on the renters. So in terms of renters, we found a lot of uptake on solar thermal. So if you think about a rental building, mostly you have separate metered PG&E meters in each unit, but the hot water is paid for by the landlord. So the landlord can save a huge amount of money by putting solar thermal. Luminol does this all the time, and they see a direct savings. So landlords are really, really liking that program. And the other one is boilers. If you have a boiler and you can change that, the efficiencies are huge. And as the mayor said, the return on investment is what everyone with the building is looking at. And if your return on investment is 2-3 years and you've got a 20-year amortized loan that goes through your property tax, you're realizing a savings after the first, second year.
But again, the increment you'll pay that next month, you'll accrue savings immediately in your first month. You don't even have to. 3 years is a payback, sort of traditional payback for the entire cost. But the reality is, within that first bill, you're already getting the savings. That's why I mean, I don't know if people are interested in saving money. This is a pretty good program. If people aren't so interested in saving the money, they may have no interest in saving the planet. I get that, right? People are still in denial. But they sure as heck should be interested in this economic environment of saving money. Here's one of the great strategies for a return on investment that exists anywhere in the country. Again, no other program like this in America. Nothing is comprehensive like this in any other city.
Joe?
Is there a cap per project or per building?
Ed is going to address that.
There's
Ed,
a cap
come
in this program
Ed,
of-
you have to come up to the mic.
There's a cap for this program of $50,000, but that means if you had a project worth $100,000 and you had different federal rebates and other things taking up part of it, this program might take $50,000. So it's not $50,000 for the project; it's just our share of it.
And there's no cap for commercial.
There's no cap for commercial.
And so what we're going to do, we're going to take all that, the cash for caulkers, we're going to take this solar program incentive for low-income households, we're going to take this grant, we're going to put it all together, and the idea then is whatever that delta is, we'll finance it. We want to aggregate these programs. We don't want to just keep these things in isolation.
This program is run. So is that the customer, like the homeowner, they can go to one place to apply for all these things, and then which department is in charge?
We'll call 311. That's one central location to get all the information you need. And then the implementation of this will be, I mean, we have forms that aggregate. I mean, this is pretty straightforward. Department of Environment is responsible for aggregating all these things. PUC, of course, is running a lion's share of a lot of these programs. Our Energy Watch, our Power Savers program, all of these programs. But it's 311, and we'll take care of the rest. Just that's all you need to know. And, of course, you have Assessor on the back end. You have Nadia doing the work. Don't worry about all of us. We're just 311's all you need. Yeah, but this one's a no-brainer. I mean, even though the board said we thought that about the solar, remember that? And these guys slowed that down. So you're not going to say anything. It doesn't matter to me anymore. He's probably running. Well, you are running for re-election, so you have to worry about that. It was stunning that we had problems with the Board of Supervisors with the solar. We won, though, ultimately, because the people demanded it. This one, I can't even imagine one member of the board being and they've already passed 3 pieces unanimously, and this is the final substantive piece. I don't expect any problems. And again, thank you, Eric Marr, for his leadership on this.
Other questions?
Are you still going to use the Go Solar website?
Yeah, Go Solar SF is still alive and well, and we're scaling that program back a little bit, but I'm going to make an announcement probably early next month about exactly how that program is being scaled back. The only thing that's been announced is we spent all the money. This thing has been such a phenomenal success that they've drawn down all that $8.8 million already. But we're now reconstituting it to guarantee opportunities for low-income families and low-income households. And then we've got some new plans and new ideas that I'll announce in January. So don't think that's just disappearing.
Great. Thanks, everyone.
It's Obama's cash for cultures was such a success. The gun used in this war is a cock gun, not an AK-47.